Welcome to Discovering with Dr. Deb. Our last season, we were discovering the Enneagram with Dr. Deb, and it was packed with a lot of information while also being a lot of fun to talk about and explore the Enneagram and why we do what we do. So go back and check out those episodes if you haven't seen them already. Here we are in season 2, and I'm going to be focusing on trauma and using EMDR therapy as a tool to help process trauma. My co-host for this season is psychologist Dr. Christie from Austin, Texas. She has traveled all over the world to provide EMDR in humanitarian efforts, and she has also trained clinicians and providers in EMDR therapy. So get ready, let's dive right in and talk about trauma. Hello, thanks for joining us today. We are going to talk about, I was going to say the C word. Most people think cancer when we say the C word. Yeah. But this is 2022, 2023, 2023.
Almost.
COVID. Yeah. COVID. We're going to talk about COVID. And what did you, when I said, let's talk about COVID and PTSD, and you said to me,
aren't people over COVID yet?
Oh, yeah, aren't we? Like we still are.
Yeah.
But we're not, because we still are. I don't know what the CDC says, and I'm not trying to poo-poo it, but we not too long ago had COVID, and people are still getting COVID. People are still dying from COVID.
Yes, they are.
There's the masking, the vaccinations, rolling out more boosters. We're doing more social things.
Yes,
football season.
Yes.
Wrapped up, and people went to the games, and basketball is starting up here. We've got games, and people are going to them. High school events, and back to church, and all of that kind of stuff. And here in Arkansas, I think the last time I saw someone wearing a mask, I was at a doctor's office.
Okay.
So not a lot.
Yeah.
And then people really have, depending on their perspective, whether it's their occupation, their profession, their experience, strong beliefs about wearing masks, being vaccinated. And to them, it's equated to like being responsible, right? And I really think there are a lot of people that are having trauma responses. Okay.
Yes.
That's valid to say from COVID, whether they lost somebody or not. I remember working with one of my clients who's a physician and works in a VA hospital. And so for her, if she were to get sick, they shut down, nobody can have visitors. I mean, it was just really, there was the ripple effect was great. So this responsibility about exposure, and when you've got children that are also being, it's just there is so much to it. And so we hear this gut reaction. Well, that's a trauma response, but we're still dealing with it.
Yes.
So aren't we over COVID? I think we would all like to say we wish we were over COVID, but just like any other trauma, I think it's safe for us to say we need to kind of give some space for it and and process kind of how it's affected us. And of course, it's affected everybody universally. We've had some similar experiences, but then individually so different. Look at teachers, right? And they get told, they go into the class or something, and they're told, we're pivoting. Oh, did we ever use the word pivot like this before?
No, I heard it in business. My executive clients used it, but now it's everywhere. Pivot. Everybody's pivoting.
Because you got to pivot.
Yeah, we got to. Well, we did.
We did. To survive, we had to pivot. I mean, and so DoorDash, all of these companies, you get your groceries delivered, and you get. Thank God, really for this technology and the ability to be able to pivot. To online learning for our children. But we did. We all had to pivot, and we all have some trauma responses from that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are like, I'm so over Zoom. And I'm like, but we needed it. It's nice to know we have it.
Well, actually, lots of reasons.
Lots of reasons. Yeah, yeah, lots of reasons.
Like our livelihood.
Yes.
Well, I wanted to say this. It's not that because I'm not over COVID, but I think that we just got so tired of hearing about COVID as a population. That we all, and you're right, that the contention between mask, no mask, vax, no vax, all of that, huge. But what I keep coming back to, since I do this all over the world, and I take it with me, right, and I teach people to become trainers in their own countries and la-di-da, I can tell you that it is a global experience, which is very unique.
Yes.
To, it's not just the U.S. And I remember I went to China right when they were having an outbreak, and I think it was the swine flu. And it was very interesting because, we knew it was happening there, but I won't say more about that because it was kind of a very fantastic and interesting experience being there as an American. But anyway, so it is a world issue.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's going to hang around.
Yeah.
And there are severe things that happen to people. And in fact, personally, we've lost lots of family. We've lost lots of friends. So I think it has something to do with being our age group, my age group. However, I do feel like people are trying to get beyond it, trying to have a normal life again, trying to breathe, trying to have, socialize, trying to go back to church, trying to do all of the things that were way too scary to do. And because we just didn't know, what is this thing that has befallen us. So the response to all of that, I think people are going to bury it just like they bury other things. Like, oh, bye-bye, that was then, this is now. Let's run ahead, you know.
Yes.
And I have, the only thing about mask, no mask, vax, no vax, is what hurts my heart was the fighting, was the divisiveness that happened as a result of that. It's like, I think everybody has their perfect right to do it the way they want to do it. And so what's the big deal? Okay, I could get, that could make me in
because
trouble.
You're an Enneagram 9.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
I couldn't not squeeze the Enneagram in. But that's so true, and maybe we should even do an episode on that, on the Enneagram and how. So this has been super traumatic for 9s, and I'm not discounting the other numbers. It's been traumatic for them for different reasons. But for 9s, we do see other perspectives, and we don't like conflict.
Yeah.
We don't like confrontation. We don't like conflict. We don't like when people are, butting heads. And that's another element or layer to the COVID that's made it difficult for people that are 9s. In that it's not okay anymore to express your opinion, because if you do, and you're going to be attacked by people that have a different opinion. And that's so hard for 9s. It's so hard anyway for 9s to put themselves out there and have an opinion. But even when we don't, just seeing what has happened with other people and the breakdown and the divisiveness in the last couple of years has just really made it harder, So for 9s, we want peace. Yes. And we protect peace, and we haven't had peace. And I think too, even going back, like we were alluding to, kids having to go to, online for their education, but what if they weren't in a good environment and they were there? Like all of that just is anxiety provoking.
Oh, so highly.
For counselors, for teachers, and it's exacerbated a lot of mental health issues.
It certainly has.
Right.
It certainly has. And created some germophobia and different kinds of things like that people just didn't, for the little ones, littles, as I call them, many of us do. Now, I wanted to mention this about teenagers again, just because everything kind of weaves through together when we're talking on this podcast about other things.
Yeah.
And I'm certain that you know this statistic, but people may not. So, the teenagers were the ones that were most hard hit. That is the period of time when they just are so hungry for each other.
Connection with their peers.
And, I still remember what it felt like to be 15 years old. It's funny, I do. It was a few years ago.
It's just a
that's
couple
all.
years ago.
That's all, but
Yeah.
you know, good memory. Anyway, so I had so many, and there was this study done that they were the most affected of any of
Yes.
the population ages.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
Most. And suicidal and depressed and anxious. And I mean, you can imagine this is something that we don't know how the future is going to look.
Right.
And well, that was for all of us, but especially for that age group, it was life-threatening, really, and life-altering. They're coming back, but I just thought it was interesting that it hit that
Well, and
population.
you look at that age group too, and they didn't have graduations. They didn't even have
Yes.
proms. Like, these are such big rites of passage for them.
Yes.
Canceled.
Yes.
Canceled.
Sports.
Canceled. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And just getting together, hanging out, having pizza, and
Yes.
canceled.
Yeah.
You know, canceled. So, because it started here in the U.S. in March, and you know, they were just out of luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and so then they didn't have this rite of passage, graduation and everything, which, you know, that's really this bittersweet time for them. It's like, oh, I'm leaving all of my friends. But here they've had this whole thing, this pandemic, this COVID shutting the world down. And then, which is ambivalent at the very least, but scary. Hospitals were full. You don't want to get sick. Are you sick enough to go? People are dying, and the thing about it too is, you know, everything that they heard about it, which is the thing. People are tired of hearing about it, but everything in the media it was also dire, you know. And then here they're going into an unknown if they're going to college or trade school or jobs or whatever. And so on the heels of the world shutting down and them having that isolation, they're starting their next chapter.
That's right.
With, you know, from this place of insecurity or doubt, at the very least.
And we were talking about in the anxiety podcast we did about just how that feeds anxiety, right? How our parents can feed anxiety, how our environment can, you know, impact anxiety and raising it. But while you're talking, I'm also thinking about not just the teenagers. I'm thinking about the physicians. I'm thinking about the nurses. I'm thinking about the people who had to pick up the laundry in the hospitals. I did a lot. I created a model for hospitals when this happened for first, frontliners. And
right.
you know, you can't possibly imagine what that's like.
Yes.
And what they were going through.
Oh, yes.
You really can't.
No.
Because, you know, I mean, even though I go to trauma situations, even though I go to tsunamis and earthquakes and, you know, hurricanes.
Disasters, right.
Right, of any kind. I go there and you go, whoa, nobody really knows how bad this is or how bad this feels. You just don't, even though I still go, I hear about it and I go, oh, no, that's
But the
terrible.
thing about that too is you go, but you leave.
Yes, that's it. That's it. That's right.
Right. And I know I've talked with a lot of doctors in my work with physicians, and, you know, they literally were coming home, changing clothes in the garage, going and getting a shower, you know, and like holding their kids off.
Yes.
Like hold
That's
on.
right.
You know, kids are like, Mommy's home or Daddy. And it's like, and so they've got this disconnection with their children that they're, you know, it was trauma.
Yes, it was.
Trauma.
Upon trauma, upon trauma,
Upon trauma. Yeah. And then when they're losing patients, and this was something unlike anything they've ever trained for or had knowledge of or were educated to or anything. So
Yeah, we were not prepared.
not prepared.
You know, we've never been through something like
Right.
this.
Right.
And we're still living it, and people are still getting sick, like you were saying, and from the doctors and everything, you know. So that's a sort of a funny thing, but that's where I began to have my healthy, for me, response to, like, this is what they're saying, this is what they're doing. You know, how do you comport yourself? How do we keep ourselves healthy? Right, and mentally.
Right.
And it's impossible. And then now we have to worry about how do we start actually leaving the house. Right?
Yeah.
Because for those of us, which we were, because both of us are in high risk category.
Yeah.
We were pretty tight, and every decision becomes this major decision.
Yeah.
Honey, should we see the kids?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, they're going to school. I don't know. Well, let's
I know.
talk about this. And then, you got people get mad at you because you don't attend something.
Right.
Because you're fearful, or
Right.
you're thinking, okay, well, we're the ones that are going to get it bad. And this was pre-vaccine.
Vaccines, yeah.
So anyway.
But still, a lot went into just decisions that you
That's
normally
it.
wouldn't even think about.
That's it.
Yeah.
So now,
Yeah.
how do you reemerge to life?
Right.
I was telling you
That's
this.
the question.
Yes, because I was telling you this the other day. My husband and I used to go out 4 nights a week.
Mm-hmm.
We had a ball, or it might have been Keith. I don't know which one I was telling. but
Nonetheless.
yeah, nonetheless, yeah. So that's the kind of people we are. Well, we don't do that anymore. And I don't mean to be talking about myself, except for to say that this is just one example.
But this is the experience that we've all had, though.
Yes.
We had our lives.
Yes.
That was normal to us.
Mm-hmm.
It all got shut down.
Yes.
And it's not unlike grief work where we have to identify and create a new normal. And I really don't like that term, but that's what it is. Like, what is our new normal? Having to factor in, like right now, safety, security, health.
Yeah.
How am I feeling right now?
Yes.
And just having that responsibility. I'm feeling a little, I shouldn't, because
Yes.
before we wouldn't really think about it.
No.
But all of that is because of what we've lived through. But like you said, the teenagers, but even children. My sister is a teacher, and I have a cousin who's a teacher, and we were together for a funeral not too long ago, and they were talking about the COVID kids. And really, I think they called them that.
Oh, wow.
And so there's that whole group that when the world shut down, and it's kind of like what grade,
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah, and
Like the Kennedys.
there's different traits, behaviors that they exhibit because of that experience. And it's noticeable to educators. And so it's, it's just something we're going to have to live with. But moving forward, like, people don't come in or present for counseling like, I'm post-COVID,
Yeah.
or I'm just learning to survive now that things are opening back up. But I think still it's important for us as we provide counsel to clients, like, how did it affect you? Just even a simple couple of questions, assessing how it affected them. What's different about your life? What had to change because of, COVID?
Yes.
Things like that. It's important because, again, trauma responses, like just noticing, oh, well, that was because of that. Like,
Yes. That's
go
right.
into places.
And I don't think people, across the board, okay, anxiety, depression, everything, skyrocketed. Our business is we can't even manage all the work that's out there to do. And everybody's full, beyond full. So it makes it hard for people to get the help that they need.
Right, right.
Yeah. But,
Another thing, too, not to interrupt you, but I think because collectively everybody has experienced it,
yes.
we're minimizing.
Yes. And even me saying, isn't everybody over COVID? That's minimizing it, right? And it is.
And it's like, well, nobody in my family died from it. So,
Yeah.
I don't have the right to have whatever,
Right.
And, for me, with, having my daughter and son-in-law and grandbabies out of state, it affected my travel and getting together with them. And it's like, that was a big deal.
Yes.
Like that disconnection.
Loss.
That loss. And, in Nines, we're all about connection with our people. And that disconnection was hard for me.
Yeah.
But that was again another result. And so when things interrupt, like my connection with them, or it's hard on me, and it's really a direct result from that.
Yes.
But just kind of recognizing that and going back, like if we were going to do a history taking, like that would be something to make sure to assess with clients, like how did COVID affect your life?
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah. A lot of people now are working virtually. And there's some pluses to it. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I really, when COVID, I started walking. I lost a little weight. I was able to work from home, and it was like, okay, well, not all bad.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
But I'm a half glass full kind of a girl.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that and thinking that, okay, so what do? How do we help them? How do we help them assess it? But by talking about it, that's the first step, right? And I mean, I know that sounds schmaltzy, but it's the truth. It's like,
No, it is the truth.
Yeah,
And it helps
history taking.
normalize.
yes.
Normalize.
And also bring it up that there could be something still lingering there.
Absolutely.
And again,
And
it's
rightly
not
so.
gone. The COVID
Right.
is not gone.
Right.
So there's still something that we're going to have to be dealing with. And I think, I'll keep my opinions to myself, but yeah, they're all still there. I don't want to
Now, I would say most people have some residual effect from mentally and emotionally how they experienced COVID. I don't know if I would say everybody has PTSD from it necessarily, but I do think there's a little bit more vigilant behavior going on because of it.
Definitely.
But if you notice increased anxiety or some triggering, it's very likely and it's very possible that there is some PTSD just from living through this pandemic. So if that's you, please reach out. There are people that would love to help you with that and unpack that. So anyway, that's our little spiel about COVID and trauma and how it's really kind of affected everybody. Yeah. Not just here in the U.S., but like she said, globally. So we'll catch you on the next episode. Have a great day. If this content has been helpful to you, I'd appreciate it if you would please rate the podcast, post it, and share it on social media. And also post a review. If you'd like to get in contact with me, my phone is 479-561-7600 or email Dr. Deborah at anchoredhopecounseling.net or Dr. Deborah at drdebfordoctors.com. Our website at www.anchoredhopecounseling.net has some useful information, and you can also reach out to me through the website. Remember, you are enough just the way you are, and you are loved.